Okay, good morning, everyone. It's great to be here to talk to you about something that's near and dear to my heart, which is the Weather Ready Nation effort that we've been undertaking the last several years. This project has been a long-term project for the Riverton office, way even before I was here as WCM. All the way back, to around 2004, the office began an initiative known as Wyoming Youth in STEM, and it was a conference, a one-day conference that occurred every year in May, and they brought together as many of the schools in the county warning area as possible. And I'm going to talk to you about that just shortly. But the real, I guess, the real epiphany that I had involving the Weather Aid Nation Ambassador Program related to schools was back around 2014. I reread the book Courage by Gus Lee, and Gus Lee in his book talked about walking through the river of darkness to the light on the other side and making those courageous, final decisions and doing what's best for the team. And, that was something that I was really inspired to undertake involving the Weather Aid Nation Ambassador Program when it began. Upon being WCM at Riverton here, we got together with our, at the time, Weather Ready Nation team and also the outreach team, combined them, and then of course it later became our WCM sub team, which is comprised of about 6 members. So we developed a plan, a 10-point plan I'm going to talk about in relation to the Wyoming Weather Ready Nation Weather School initiative that I'm going to talk about. And we did that by implementing the plan, getting it buy-in first among the team, and then outwardly with our partners in emergency management who played a role in the process, along with the school superintendents, and importantly, the school principals. And we used blue sky days and availability, and made this a priority. So we kind of, our motto of our team is, if we don't do it, who will? So just wanted to go ahead and get started with the presentation, though. Of course, nationwide, there are about, this is the breakdown, about 11,000 Weather Aid Nation ambassadors. Each office has more or less, and related to their county warning areas and so forth. We've made it a really priority here in relation to the schools involving safety and being an initiative here. This is our Weather Ready Nation Ambassador. I guess you could call it our box calendar, or our area where we congratulate folks as being our Weather Aid Nation ambassadors. Some offices place them on the wall, and they look really well. We're just about out of room, so we're probably going to go to that direction pretty soon. So, and this sits right as you walk in the door into our office, because we're very proud of all of our Weather Aid Nation ambassadors and how they are going to continue to be our force multipliers involving the safety and warning messages for our office here in central and western Wyoming. One part of the overall process that throughout my career, it's been really, important to make sure that we get the message out to schools that tornadoes can definitely strike schools, and schools can be vulnerable to severe weather destruction. It is documented and has been since about the 1820s. There have been at least about 46, if not more, tornadoes that have directly struck and produced fatalities at schools. A good example would be the March 1st, 2007 Enterprise, Alabama tornado. That F4 tornado unfortunately hit the school in the afternoon, where there were still students there. The school buses were lined up there to pick up the children. They moved back into the school. As a lot of you may know, the 8 deaths occurred when a wall fell upon the students. There were 50 injuries there. This is one example that led me toward this direction. The other one was, of course, the May 20th, 2013 Moore, Oklahoma EF5 tornado. 3 schools were hit by an EF4, of course. Briarwood Elementary and Highland East were more or less sideswiped by the EF4 more so than the same tornado that directly hit the Plaza Towers Elementary School. Same thing, the wall collapsing in the school, and the destruction occurred with the 7 fatalities there. So that further, in my estimation at that time, I was working at the Huntsville office then, gave me the emphasis that, hey, we definitely need to be getting the message out even more so with our schools due to the increased activity that was going on through that time period, of course, and to continue it into the future. So it's vital that we work closely with EMA and school administrators to ensure that all of our schools have the best severe weather safety plan possible. So the children, they're our future, so we got to make sure they're safe if at all possible, of course. And being a father of 3 boys, that's been really something that I've always preached about severe weather safety. It's important to know your county warning area hazards, vulnerabilities, work with the EMAs to make sure that as many stones are unturned as possible. Our objective is to make sure that they're as safe as possible, to make them weather ready, and that's the objective. So, we developed locally earlier, about 2008. This is an example of a tornado safety in schools brochure. This is side 2 of the brochure that talks about the tornado actions, and a lot of the schools place that right there at their main nerve center so that they could write down on the actual page there, and it's laminated. This is what we do with a tornado watch today. This is what's going to happen with a tornado warning. So this was really popular in North Alabama and southern Middle Tennessee, and we've continued to preach that method. So in going forward, I decided after the May 2013 to get that courage, not sit back and assume things are just going to automatically get done. And I worked with my home county to work with them through Leadership Lincoln, the folks that are on the right here, County Emergency Management, Kathy Hovis and Mike Hall there with Lincoln County, Tennessee EMA. And these are the 12 schools that were celebrate the fact that they were, Weather Ready Nation ambassadors. They went through the whole process, and I'm going to talk about some of the process just shortly. But they had to have a safety plan. They had to have, multiple ways to receive and disseminate warning information. We did weather outreach, Professor Weather type presentations with them. And went through the whole process, almost like being storm ready, but we just called it weather ready as far as the Weather Ready Nation Ambassador Program is concerned. So had the ceremony with them on April 8th, 2014. About 3 weeks later, one of those schools, South Lincoln, that was one of the Weather Ready Nation ambassadors in the previous image, they were basically hit directly by an EF3, strong EF3 tornado that was coming from the southwest toward the northeast here in the image. And, there were fortunately no injuries or fatalities at the school. We, EMA and also myself, we did a safety walkthrough and recommended, obviously behind this front area, there was a lot of different locations here. There were several bathrooms. There were other safe locations in this area, and also here kind of toward the back of the building here, there were a lot of restrooms. There were classrooms that weren't set up for exterior walls. Those were 2 recommended places, and just about everyone either went here or here, and there were no injuries or fatalities. That was 3 weeks after the ceremony, folks. And a school bus, there were several school buses sitting here. Just about all of them were thrown. One was thrown through the front admin building there, area right there where the principal's office was. And the front of the bus was basically sitting in the principal's office. So it was just pretty incredible afterwards to know that you've hopefully done everything that you can in your power to make sure those children, teachers, and workers were as safe as possible. That's the objective of the Weathe Ready Nation Ambassador Program, in my opinion. So, you know, when we talked about project management, the important thing is don't give up. You know, I wanted to show this example from the Dilbert principle. You know, finish the project in 2 weeks. You've got to have certain things that are going on. You know, there could be you can't get in touch with the folks. You know, they're either on vacation, sick, traveling. You know, don't check email, don't return phone calls. Yeah, try something else, whether it's faxing, texting, however. Try to get to those folks and do what you can to push the project forward within reason. That's the objective. So I thought I would throw in a light thing in place of next what we decided to do. I came up with some project methods that I borrowed from a book. It's the SMART and the CLEAR goals for creating a project. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Using those those 5 different ways to develop your goals. And CLEAR and SURE goals that are collaborative, limited, emotional, appreciable, and refinable. So going through that process, we set up, you know, a 5-tiered project goal of the initiation and conception of the goal. What are we going to do here? The Weathe Ready Nation Weather School project for Wyoming. Planning it out. How are we going to do this? What are going to be the team roles of our 6-person Weathe Ready Nation ambassador team or WCM sub team? How are we going to do that? How are we going to set deadlines? How are we going to get people available to do this? And then once we figure out how we're going to attack the goal, make it a plan, then we're going to go through, of course, with the launching of the plan, working with our partners, going through the process, making sure that we settle on those project goals and develop and have status reports. And then from there, we monitor the project as it goes to completion. And then at the end, we celebrate as a team together. Hey, we did it. We made it to the end, and we're just going to maintain the project, you know, from here and continue to hopefully build upon that in the future. If there are new things that come along that can help us to better improve what we've done to this point. And that's the objective, not stopping at the end, but continuing on. So involving that 10-point plan development, we definitely took a look at initially the Minneapolis-Twin Cities Weather Ready Nation Ambassador Care Model. So we wanted to make sure that we touched on the 4 goals of the care model. You know, supporting the strategic plan, utilize staff for during quiet weather, formalize the communication, and documenting it, and keeping a record of the ambassador's needs. Those items, we wanted to double make sure that we had that in our plan. So this is what we put together. I do want to stress, you know, develop your own criteria. What may work well in your area may not work well, you know, it may not work well in your area, but it may work well for us. So the objective is I wanted just to show you what we're doing here, and if you have some better ideas that could better serve your area, definitely please do that. This is not the end all be all, definitely not. So, you know, modestly, I just want to say, you know, we worked at this for several months as a team to try to iron down what we wanted to do. So as part of our Weathe Ready Nation Weather School project components, each of the school had to be a lightning safety toolkit location. So that was another facet of the program. They had to wanted to embrace the Weathe Ready Nation Ambassador program too. They definitely, to do that, you know, a lot of times we always have to give and take. So, you know, we brought in some large cloud charts for the teachers, small cloud charts for the students. You know, we worked with EMA to make sure there were null weather radio receivers, at least 2 in each school. You know, you'd want to have one at the main nerve center at the public administration area or the principal's office, You also wanted to have another one available for after school care, or also at the main locations outside where they're having the football games or the soccer games and so forth, where they could move it if needed to. You know, they definitely had to have a severe weather safety plan. We had to work with EMA definitely as our main partner to do that and go through a safety inspection, work with the EMA on that. So we wanted to ensure that the teachers had the Jetstream weather curriculum and online weather school presentation information, so they could have maybe some extra experiments or lesson plans that could help them during their weather section. You know, we added all principals and superintendents on our NWS email briefing list, of course, for SIT reports, for weather briefings, so that they could get this needed information at a moment's time. So we shared project atmosphere through the AMS data stream with all the schools, and we made sure and worked with the State High School Athletic Association, you know, to ensure and recommend that they have some sort of lightning detection device, that they have you know, multiple ways to receive and get that information involving warnings too during severe weather, so that they could make sure and stop the games with plenty of time to ensure that everyone would be safe, visitors and players and coaches and referees. So that's our 10-point plan. To develop that 10-point plan, we also wanted to make sure that we were hitting what would be in the 2017 Weather Act. We also wanted to make sure that we were part of the criteria involving the Central Region Weather Ready Nation Volume 1 Roadmap, which is in section 6.3.2, deals with school district engagement. 6.4 section, key deliverables would be needed for partner building and outreach. So those deliverables were hit. You know, and we developed that common, consistent approach for engagement with our core partners too. And we did the emphasis on our school districts, and that got into the Roadmap Volume 2. And that deals with, in our area, of course, winter engagement involving weather is very vital and important. So we've continued that engagement with our principals, school superintendents, and ensured that the safety folks involving the school buses and the school bus barns have that information through the necessary protocols involving the correct IDSS framework. So we've also continued through fiscal year 18 through 20, keeping that as an AOP, as an office. It's an ongoing Weather Aid Nation project for our sub team, and we're just going to continue that going forward. So what really got us further going too, involving the process, and gave us the opportunity to initially meet with all the school superintendents. And I encourage you in your state, if your Association of School Superintendents has an annual conference, do what you can to get on the agenda. Chad Hahn, then, who was the WCM at the time at Cheyenne, myself, we met on April 20th, 2017 with about 80 school superintendents there in Casper, Wyoming. And we talked about our one Wyoming weather ready way of working together with schools statewide, what we could do to be proactive involving the Weather Aid Nation program and IDSS, and how we could provide the outreach and the operational forecasting IDSS for the schools to ensure that they were as safe as possible. Because in our state of Wyoming, it's not a matter if, it's when. There's going to be one type or form of hazardous weather. So we got some really good positive feedback from the superintendents. So from there, I decided with our team, we got together with one by one the county EMA coordinators in our area to break this down to the lowest level. And we got their buy-in one at a time. And the EMA coordinator would set up the meeting first with the school superintendent. They would have a monthly principals meeting, and we would get together there and give our presentation on the Weather Ready Nation Weather School project. And then from there, the principals, of course, bought into the project because of safety and the importance of it. And then we, from there, would meet individually with the principals, our team, one by one, through our, 144 schools in our 27 school districts across 56,396 square miles here in central and western Wyoming. So we did this over, a multi-year period, of course, and we utilized blue sky days, of course, and we did combine the meetings. Typically, if one of us on the team were going to be giving a spotter talk, we tried to schedule at least 2 or 3 school talks or get-togethers with the principals involving all these processes the same day to maximize time spent away from the office, to ensure we wouldn't have to be there, because there were other things going on, of course, as we all know. So this is a kind of an example of all of our school districts. Sorry, it doesn't come out any better. This was all that I could find, but you can see as my cursor moves across the screen, there are still, not a lot of school districts, of course, because of our sparse population, but it takes time to do all this, of course. But another facet of the project, like I talked about, one of the major components of the Weathe Ready Nation Weather School programming here in Wyoming was lightning safety. Typically, since late 1950s, Wyoming has been in the top 5 nationwide involving injuries and fatalities per capita population. So, obviously by May to September, that's the main time period, and we really stress that with our schools involving any outdoor activities. So we're working with the Wyoming All Hazards Association, Wyoming Office of Homeland Security, and the counties on this project. So, and we've already completed about 250 when thunder roars go indoors signs that have been installed across Wyoming through different projects through the state and through emergency management. It is a big deal out here, and they do take it very seriously involving lightning safety. And we've targeted the at-risk locations with EMA. And of course, that's going to be schools and outside ball fields, baseball, football, and soccer areas. And I just want to give you a quick example of this is when we do the ceremony, when it was pre-COVID, of course, and we were able to meet with the principal and the school superintendent. So we would have a ceremony typically at the monthly principals meeting. We would, when we were finished with the county, we would basically do the ceremony and include all of the schools within the county and make it one big ceremony for everyone. And that seemed to work the best because everyone, it wasn't part of the project, and we wanted to make sure everyone got the equal kudos for a job well done. So we would provide this certificate along with a one-page written up letter signed by my MIC Chris Jones and myself, and we would present that to them with a NOAA brochure type of envelope, like right here, and this envelope would contain that, and we provide that to the principals. So, and we would obviously take some pictures, put that on social media. Also, we would encourage the media to attend, and usually led to some really good positive publicity for the schools. And they're like everyone else, including us. Any positive publicity we can get's a good thing. So, the Wyoming Youth in STEM School Activities has been nearly a yearly event since 2004. This allows our office the opportunity to get together with a large number of students from the schools that are in the Riverton and maybe a 3 or 4 county area. And we've been providing this weather safety education, STEM training to enlighten students about the fact that there are quite a few other science related vocations and occupations out there that folks can get involved in if they're not aware of it. So it has served as a foundation to discuss weather and science with thousands of students since 2004. It's been really a successful program and initiative that we've been involved in yearly here. This is an example. In 2018, we recognized a large part of our staff there and myself, part of our operations team with the Weathe Ready Nation Ambassador Initiative. We recognized Wyoming Youth in STEM Director there as a Weathe Ready Nation Ambassador. And that was one thing that we did at the outset of the conference on day one. Here's some examples of some of the school districts that I was able to be involved in, some of the other folks involving the recognition ceremonies involving the Weathe Ready Nation and Lightning Safety Toolkit initiative for some of the school districts in our area. Last year, when we completed the project, we nominated all of our school districts, 144 schools, as all, involving Wyoming in our area, the Weathe Ready Nation Ambassador of Excellence. They received that award for a job well done, an outstanding job by those folks, and to embrace the Weathe Ready Nation Ambassador program and their initiative to be a force multiplier. We were fortunate, our office, to be the recipient of the 2019 one of those NOAA Historical Preservation Grant Awards. We were able to, as a team, our sub-team, we developed 7 of these pop-up displays that we're eventually going to be able to use once COVID is taken care of, hopefully, to provide quite a bit more outreach. That's the objective with the schools in our area, including our Native American organizations here in central and western Wyoming. The Wind River Reservation, that's a big objective, is for us to provide this outreach and to get some of the best and the brightest science students out there in our county warning area to be interested in a career in weather. So when these displays, of course, are not being utilized, we're going to leave them there at the Casper Science Zone, which allows for a lot of safety education purposes for literally hundreds of school groups that go through the Casper Science Zone each year. So that will be a good way in the future that we'll be able to spread the word about the Weathe Ready program and how we can better be involved in safety. These are, of course, these were the blizzard, flood, thunderstorm, tornado, wildfire, and wind displays that we developed as a team. If anyone is interested in this information, I'll be glad to share it with you. And it was basically a year project involving the whole process. So on Wednesdays, as part of the Weathe Ready Nation initiative, we do post social media messages involving any types of hazards, any types of safety messaging, of course, like a lot of the WFOs do. And we do target, of course, with all of our Weathe Ready Nation ambassadors, these messages that go to all the schools. We also have, of course, added all of our Weathe Ready Nation ambassadors, including the schools and so forth, all those partners to our email list. And they also take part in listening in on the briefings, especially during the late spring and also during the winter months when we have winter storms and also the severe weather at the end of the school year. So we provide them with preparedness emails, weather safety education, and it goes without saying. And we also provide to all of our Weathe Ready Nation ambassadors access to the twice a week IDSS situation reports that are mandatorily issued through a request by Wyoming Office of Homeland Security for our partners across the state. We also provide them, of course, when there's a significant weather expected, a situation report that we typically issue as needed. Here's an example also of our IRIS project that we've just completed involving placing all of our school partners and school superintendents into our IRIS program, and we're going to continue to build on that project as we move forward to provide weather information out there to our ambassadors. So with that, our future plans are to maintain our ambassador database, expand the outreach with tribal schools and underserved schools. We're going to expand our Professor weather safety presentations to the area schools when COVID allows that, and at least we're going to do that virtually as we move forward. Continue to tout Wyoming Youth in STEM as a yearly event in Riverton. We'll definitely likely be doing at least a virtual method of that next May, unless things change. We could expand that to the Casper area. And we're also going to continue to work with the state of Wyoming and our EMA partners with the schools on grants that they may have access to, and provide our feedback and initiative. And our hopes will be to expand quite a few weather stations to as many schools in the state of Wyoming as possible, to develop more of a, not only a mesonet for us, but also an education opportunity for the students and the teachers. So, but with that, that's about all I've got today. And I just want to say a big thanks for being allowed to be part of the presentations today. And with that, I'll open it up for any questions anyone might have.